Okay, well, after the Confederate side of this 7 o'clock turn, things are looking pretty harsh for the Union. First of all, you can see what the Confederates did in terms of just marching forward. This is a Union unit, but there were some scattered in here. They just sort of swarmed over them, grabbing enfilade shots, which is why you'll see people kind of facing like this, left, right, and center, and pretty much disintegrated everything. Now, this isn't just due to fire. Dwight and McMillan and Shaw, though Shaw too late to have an effect, all lost brigade combat effectiveness. That means this whole side is basically ineffective. That's very, very bad. It reduces their combat, just firepower. It also makes it so that they can't stand. I think the Union has lost at this point. I don't see what they can do. They're going to have to kind of swap these units in for those. Because things like Hubbard, Moore, and Benedict, I think, is still mostly effective. Yeah, he's not. But otherwise, Emory's entire division has just been wrecked by this attack. And we had some melees going on and everything, but mainly it's just that they ran on top of it. Now, it's gotten worse. My number counters, I used the ones from Pea Ridge. Now I'm into Wilson's Creek for them. I should probably be marking down how many from Wilson's I've got dug out. All the 1s and 2s, that's all that's missing. I still got a decent number of the 3s and 4s. This game, somebody really kind of said the wrong thing when they designed the number of counters that they should put in. Because, I don't know. Anyway, on to the Union turn. We'll see what they can try to salvage out of this, but it looks to me like they're getting a major ass whooping. As we move up to the 740 turn, this is kind of a weird situation because if this was not nightfall, which I think has already happened, it's kind of weird for that. I mean, this is April or something. I don't think it's very bright right now. Anyway, if it wasn't, this is a battle that would not be ending, I think, unless the Union was retreating. It's kind of a weird situation because the Union's got some significant points that they're holding terrain-wise. There's no reason other than the light that the Confederates wouldn't keep attacking. There's no humongous heat. There's nothing else to really break this up. And even those things would be questionable. I think maybe this goes as far as it does, but there should be some darkness rules to limit the line of sight a little bit. Anyway, is because the Confederates maybe were pushing pretty hard to gain the territory and thought they could. Here, the Union Army is essentially broken. I mean, if there was daylight, if there was a chance to fight, they would be pulling out. But, and the scenario seems to be okay for this, the fact that they can hold out maybe just a little longer and the Confederates are going to give up allows them to maintain their position, I guess. But man, it's not looking good. I mean, we're seeing, even on their movement, they've tried to shift some troops over. You got Moore over here. You had Benedict running through here, and he's broken now? No, not quite. But there's some big holes in the line where his units just couldn't withstand the firepower. And we're not talking about a lot of firepower. We're just talking Plinkings that got lucky, really. On the other hand, likewise, Plinkings that got lucky drove Burns's command running again. That just shows you that these things cannot attack. They can barely defend, but I can't see using any of this crap. Clark is a possibility, but he only has a couple of strength points that before he loses effectiveness. So I might try to swing them around or just say that command's just not moving anywhere. Alright. Onward, I guess. Alright, well, after the Confederate side of the turn, they've basically been able to pound their way up onto Pleasant Hill here. I don't know what can be said. The Union's going to have to fling these troops, turn them around, and try to defend the line, I guess. But that leaves them open to a possible attack from the rear here. If they don't do it correctly, they can kind of throw some up and make a double line or something. I really don't know. You know, it's kind of funny because earlier I had said as the Confederates I would have called this attack off. And you can obviously see I'm too cautious a person. I mean, if I was really commanding men in a field, I wouldn't want to see that kind of death. And I mean, who would? But I certainly wouldn't have the fortitude to have pressed this attack the way the game kind of forced me to. And I always find that kind of interesting, actually. And then here with the Union, I would say, let's get out of here. You know, again, I just don't see the value of sticking around and fighting at this point. But I've got a chance of holding these victory points. As far as I'm concerned, the Confederates have already actually won this battle, but, you know, following sort of the Dean Essig, hey, if you can't tell who won, it's a draw. Well, I'm pretty sure the Confederates managed to pull off a victory here. Kind of a hard-fought one. But if the Union can kind of prevent them from getting here, or can hold this, it may not be that clear a victory. Okay. Well, we're moving into the 8 o'clock turn, and, you know, the Unions tried to fling something up in the way. This is actually a routed unit that got pinned under fire, couldn't go anywhere. It's just going to have to suffer. There's a line there. The question is, will it hold up to a Confederate advance? Will it be able to repulse the advance? So far, it hasn't really moved the Confederates too much. We got one unit pushed back here. Now, he's not quite wrecked. You can see the Confederate Army is kind of shaky in a lot of cases. A lot of the better, stronger units are not far from brigade ineffectiveness. If I was a point counter type of guy, I would be counting the Confederate points, see if they can pull off a minor victory by pulling back or whatever. But, you know, my feeling is the intention here is to take the hill and to break the Union Army. And that pulling back and having weakened the Union a little bit more just doesn't seem sufficient at this point anyhow. One thing funny, we see, who is it, Bagby, his units got plinked and ran further and further away. You can see why. I mean, this just could not have done anything anymore. And that's kind of the problem. It's hard enough to defend where, you know, you get the first shot in when your units are starting to be wrecked. And there the Confederates have the slight advantage, I'd say. They have less wrecked units on the line. You see here we still got Dwight on the line. We know he's wrecked. We got Lynch starting to pull over on the corner. But at the main center where we think we're going to possibly lose an important hex, because there's only one turn left and the Confederates aren't going to make it to here. There we've got some pretty solid units, I'd say. Not tremendously, but we shifted Hubbard over. And the Benedict stuff on the edges of that isn't wrecked yet either. Although yet is the operative word. Just a couple more losses and that'll go. So that's kind of hard to tell. Well, now we're in a tricky sort of situation. This is the last turn and the Confederates have punched in. What is it? Dwight's command went fleeing back. No problem there, really. Of course, that exposes this, and if the Confederates had more time, they could go rush in. There's no question. But they had to push this turn. Maybe took some extra losses because of it. Came up to here at the crossroads, another victory point space, engaged. As you can see, there's still a melee going on. I don't know if the Unionists can get enough troops in there to win it. If not, I would say it's an uncontrolled hex, but we'll see. We'll see where that ends up. Well, that's essentially the end. The Union pushed back, managed to throw in an extra 5 strength point unit from Hubbard into that melee. That was enough to capture 200 of Grinstead's forces. And then almost, actually no, they succeeded in wrecking him. That's big. That's 8 victory points right there. And driving him back from the Hex. So that final push cost the Confederates something, and they didn't get anything from it. Let's see. An attempt to rally caused them to all go routing again. Just even standing on the field is tough for them. I didn't do the final rally phase for the Union. I thought it would just confuse things. There's enough complexity going on there. Most of these units will just keep running. You can see Lynch took some fire and ran away. The whole command there is breaking apart, but the Confederates just do not seem to have the momentum to take the hill, so they're going to fall back. We'll see what the points score out as. They definitely did a lot of damage to the Union, but I think because of their smaller brigades, maybe they... See, Dwight's a big hit, and Hill is too. And Shaw. Yeah, I don't know. I'm assuming the terrain's going to swing this one, though. We'll see. Well, casualties alone, the Union gave the Confederates 105 victory points, whereas the Union only caused 81 victory points worth of damage in terms of the loss. A lot of the big difference here was those Union guns being overrun. Those really crushed things. And there's a nice little Confederate gun here that a couple more points that could have been gained there. But we add things in, and the Union gets 40 more points from the 2 areas that I can find that they hold. And the Confederates have one up here for 10. And right now that's what it looks like. I don't think there's another space up here. When I clean the map, maybe I'll see for sure. But I think it's a very, very slight Union victory. 6 points there. And there we're talking about, the difference is up to 30, 40 points to get this, above a tactical victory. Well, I would say this is less than a tactical victory. This is really a draw. But to me, it looks like the Confederates caused enough casualties that it's certainly, historically, the Confederates did much worse than this. And they still won this strategic advantage. It would have really taken the Confederate Army being defeated, I think, for that Union Army to remain threatening Shreveport to any degree. This was really a follow-up. It was expected that the Confederates would cause more casualties. I think they sort of did here, but I think this would still be seen as maybe not taking full advantage of this battle. As a game situation, it was a close game. There's no question. It could have swung either way at the end there. The Confederates just basically ran out of time to take the hexes. But looking at it from a battle situation, I would say the Confederates probably, it looks like, did a little better than they did historically. I don't know if it gives the historical levels here. I don't think so. I'll come back with a review of this. Not so much of the system itself, although there's some discussion of that, but of this particular battle, I think. Each one of these sold as an individual game, so I feel like I've got to review each one individually for some reason. I don't know.